and welcome, family, to another episode of Dr. Mumbi Spiritual Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly in your own vibration, family, in your own vibration. Because right now we're in such a season of transition. We're in such an in-between the season, and there's such a mixing and molding and melding, whatever, of vibrations. People's vibrations are all over the place as people try and take control of their mind, because taking back your life means taking back your mind, family. But those are stories for other days. Special shout out to our Patreon family. Thank you so much for supporting us, family, on that platform. We do have books and other things that would be absolutely, an asset to your life. Thanks to everyone who also supports us on Karibu Nyumbani, which is a relocation service on Patreon. And we have started to do meetings, buying land meetings. We recently shared one on buying land in the Congo Brazzaville with one of our partners. So definitely consider joining us there if you're planning on relocating to the motherland. Anyway, family. We are in such an interesting season. And the season we're in is because we've closed out our former book of life. Babylon has fallen. That age is gone. That narrative is gone, literally. But we're in the residue of that narrative, and we're also in the mix of a new narrative. And then many of us have gone into our Akashic records. And what our Akashic records are is like a library of all the books of life that we've had on Mama Earth. And if you feel like this is your first and only life, that's fine. But if you know you're a chosen one, if you know you're a destined one, and you're here for a reason, then you have a library of all the different books of life that you've had in this particular experience, in this realm, in this reality, whatever you want to call it. And as we enter into that family, there's a lot that's going on, that we've activated a lot of previous life relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, etc., etc. And so it's very hard to discern who should be in our lives and who should be, not in our lives. It's very hard to tell who is an enemy of our soul and who is a friend of our soul, because everyone feels so familiar. Because a lot of the people that we're moving around right now are people that we have known in previous lifetimes, because we're all elevating as we take our rightful positions. And as we're elevating, we're all we're in our different libraries, accessing different books of life. So you tap into this book where we were husband and wife, and that triggers a whole magnetic attraction and all these things where you were my sister in a previous life, so I feel like you're a kindred spirit. And so, and maybe you're supposed to play that role in this life, and maybe you're not. Because a lot of us don't have full clarity of how those books of life went. We can feel a connection to someone, but we may not be fully clear on what role they played, whether they were an enemy of our soul in the previous lifetime and whether they're an enemy of our soul now. So it's like, this thing is complicated. This thing called life is so complicated, family. And one of the things that I've experienced and I know is that there's only one sure way to know whether someone is supposed to be entering your new book of life or not. Because it's so hard to tell, because you see, with that familiarity, the bond can feel so intense, the relationship can feel so meant to be, the friendship can feel so like soul sisters and all this stuff. And yet maybe they're not that. So the way that I've learned, family, is if you want to know whether a relationship, a friendship, a sisterhood, a brotherhood, a partnership in business or whatever is meant to be, pull back your energy to like 50%. pull back your energy to what you're supposed to be giving on your side. Come back to this side of the fence. Because what I've found is, like, you see, a lot of us who are awakening, a lot of us chosen ones, we're very empathic, we're very compassionate, and we have big energy. And so we can carry the energetic, requirements of others where they may fall short. And we can really help them and make it feel like a whole situation. Because in that situation, we're carrying 70% of that energetic field, and they're carrying maybe 30%. Because they haven't done the work, because they haven't healed, because they're still in this kind of confusion or this kind of illusion, etc., etc. I really hope I'm making sense, family. And so as empaths, we tend to go, we've been taught through, because most of us grew up in very toxic homes with narcissistic parents. We were taught how to overplease, how to overextend ourselves. And then as service, as people who are here to serve Mama Earth, not to take from Mama Earth, we have everything we need. We also now have that nature to always go jump in and help. And so what you'll find is there are a lot of relationships that were meant to fizzle out a long time ago, that you still have in your life and in your energetic field, because you're overfeeding those relationships. You're overextending yourselves to keep that relationship alive. And you'll rely, that's how we get into these dynamics where people start feeding on our energy. Because maybe at one point, for you to even connect, you were on the same energetic level. Otherwise, you'd have never connected. But once you connected, they could put an energetic cord on you. And so as you rise, some people, instead of using that as motivation to rise themselves, they start focusing on you're rising, they're not rising, envy gets in, jealousy gets in, they want to be in that energy. And then as you rise, your energy also feels so good. It feels so good to be around you, that many will just cling on to that relationship for the fear that you'll rise beyond, their level and they won't see you again. And then because of that thing of we're habitual creatures, our lower nature, if we want to call it that. And, we love familiarity. We love that feeling of kinship. Sometimes we'll keep people around that are no longer supposed to have access to our lives. And you feel it. And these are the people who end up now starting to create obstacles. Because if they're of lower mind, they're also double-minded. They're not stable in that. The lower minds are not stable. They can change at the click of a finger, literally. And so they can, today it's a thin line, as they always say, between love and hate. Today they can love you and feel so connected to you and be so happy for your growth. And yet then tomorrow they can hate you and be jealous of the fact that you've outgrown them or prosperity is coming into your life. Because you see, as you change, your life, the life around you changes. And if their life is not changing around them, that means they haven't changed. But the most important thing is, you see, when you're mixing with people, family, you have to be of equal equilibrium. You have to be in the same level. So if you're changing and they're not changing, they will automatically pull you down because you're already connected. Or you have to meet at some point. So you may have to sacrifice some of that rising energy to them so that they can rise a little bit, so that they can meet you on your level. But then that means you're the one carrying them. And this is how we get into these toxic situations and toxic relationships, because we're carrying people that we shouldn't be carrying. It's our energy that is, because you have to be of equilibrium, which means that there's also, you can't mix with people of lower vibration than you. You see, the people that you want to mix with, you have to look at their life, and their life will tell you where they're at. Any struggle they're having, any misfortune they're having, when you mix with them, that misfortune and that struggle seeps into your life, starts to penetrate, and your good luck and your good fortune starts to penetrate into their life. And the spirits get into this tug of war where you're now taking on their burdens and they're taking on your blessings, and they're pulling your blessings and you're pulling their burdens, literally. And that's why you may notice that your life starts to slow down, your vibe starts to change. It's because anyone you hang out with, family, it's a consciousness, it's a mental thing. We're spiritual beings having this human experience. Everything is being made here. So anyone who you're mixing your consciousness with, your narratives will have to balance themselves and be, together. That's why, if you really want to see if someone is an energetic match for you, is a conscious match for you, pull back. Pull back, family. And you will see whether what you've been experiencing is real or whether it's just a fantasy in your own head, an illusion in your own mind. Because what we tend to do is we tend to, especially as empaths, as I was saying, and as people who are extremely compassionate, who are here for a reason, we tend to give so much of our energy. So if you were to analyze that conversation closely, you'd see that you're the one who's always talking. You're the one who's always coming up with ideas. You're the one who energetically keeps that relationship up. And the day you stop giving, being overextended in the relationship where 80% is your energy and you just pull back a bit and you move for that equal give and take, is the day you'll see if that relationship is really for you or not. If that friendship or that sisterhood is really meant to be in your life. Because a lot of the false people in your life, the minute you stop giving too much of your energy and you pull back your energy, that relationship will fizzle out. And you will realize if you're not the one talking, there'd be no conversation. If you weren't the one planning and envisioning things, there'd be no movement. There'd be nowhere you're going. There'd be nothing you're doing. And so that shows you the imbalance of how you have allowed, you have literally been carrying that relationship. And it's time for us as chosen ones, as empaths, as whatever you want to call us, to take responsibility for the role we play in overextending ourselves and in also being as addicted to the wrong energy as the wrong energy is as addicted to us. Because sometimes we don't want to let that situation go. Because letting that situation go means confronting the root of that situation. And a lot of the false people in our lives are there because of a wounding or a lesson that we haven't healed and learned from, and so we still haven't graduated from it, so it's still somewhere in our energetic field. But learn to pull back, family. Learn to stop overextending yourself. You need all that energy for yourself. I'm not saying, give 20% in a relationship, but give your 50%, give your share, give your portion. But stop giving more than your portion, because then you're the one to blame for the misfortunes that are in your life. Give your portion, and if you've already been overextending yourself, like some of us, where you've extended yourself so much into certain situations that really the whole story is your energy, there is no story there, then pull back. Pull back. You need that energy right now. Pull back, family. Go within. Pull back into creating. You're not done. You're on a staircase. It's not time to sit around and have situations. And what I've found, family, is that when you pull back from the wrong ones, those relationships just fizzle out, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing that other person can do about it. But literally, it just, you're able to just realize you're on two different levels. And once you pull back and you're not carrying them with your energy anymore, then they'll go back to the level where they belong, and you'll rise to the level you're supposed to be on. And you'll allow them to organically reach you. Because no one can help anyone with a hand up or a leg up, family. Especially not in this season. Every great master, every great teacher, every great messiah was all about teaching you how to do it for yourself, so that you can have that book in your Akashic records, in your library of overcoming, of winning. There is a place for healing. There is a place for resurrection. There is a place for all these great miracles. But they're usually just to act as, to trigger something, to kickstarting something in you that will enable you to rise and to reach the levels of those masters yourself that will inspire you to reach those levels, because they came just like you. Through through the legs, through the womb of a woman, let me put it like that. Pull back, family. Stop overdoing. Stop overextending. That's the only way you'll know if something is meant to be in your life or if you're sustaining this falsehood in your life. And I know we've had to, like, going from layer to layer is so exhausting, because every layer you have to heal and confront, all kinds of pain and discomfort in your mind. You feel it. It's intense. And some of those closest bonds that are not a vibrational match for you are there because they're kind of plugging in some of those deepest wounds that you need to heal from. Some of the greatest lessons that you need to learn. So have the courage to pull your energy back and see if the relationship, if the friendship, if the connection or partnership survives with you just giving the share you're supposed to give. Until next time, tuko pamoja.